Hey there, it's Ramsey here for a yoga stretch for athletes and inflexibles. Remember, the best thing about being inflexible is that you don't have to do a lot to feel a lot. That's our motto, all right? So set yourself up. Why don't you go ahead and get 2 blocks if you have blocks, and if you don't have blocks, you can use big, books, like an academic book of some kind, 2 of them stacked on top of each other. You've got lots of kids home from college right now, so maybe they have some. You could also use a beach towel or a blanket. I'm going to use a blanket to pad my knees today. And then a strap. You could also use an old necktie. Somebody told me the other day they used a jump rope as a strap. I thought that was awesome, right? So we are going to set up on all 4s, all right? Pad your knees if your knees need padding. We'll start with some cat and cow, okay? So just moving the spine through some range of motion, wrists underneath shoulders, knees under hips. You can have your toes tucked under or the tops of your feet on the floor, right? As you breathe in, you come into cow pose, which is a little bit of a back bend, right? And then as you exhale, cow pose, tuck your chin in, tuck your tailbone under, and then just move between the 2 and really attempt to link your breath to movement. All right, the inhale is cow pose, and the exhale is cat pose. You're always welcome to linger in one over the other, maybe for a round or 2 of breath. If you feel something good happening in your body and you want to pause in one of the poses, sometimes I really love the stretch I get across my shoulder blades and around my low back in cat pose. But back bends are always a good thing for our spine. They're not always easy, but they're a good thing. So cow pose, pull your chest through the gateway of your arms. Good. All right, do that a couple of more times. And then pause between cat and cow so your spine is more neutral. And let's open up into a knee down side plank. If your wrists are sensitive, take your hand a little further forward on your mat so that your shoulder is behind your wrist as opposed to right here, which causes more flexion of the wrists and can be a little bit painful for some. So my new favorite thing is to perch on my fingertips in this pose. It makes it a little bit more challenging. Back foot starts on the floor. You decide it's more challenging to have that shin bone parallel to the long edge of the mat. If you want a little bit more balance, take your foot behind you. And then find the hip opening. And the hip opening is for the bottom hip here. Really roll your right butt cheek under you a little bit. Take the top arm up towards the ceiling. Spin your palm towards the wall that your head is at. And then reach that arm over your ear. So before you take, and I know everybody likes to take that back foot up off the floor, but root into that back foot and reach through your fingertips and try to get some side body opening on that left side, right? Take your right shoulder away from your right ear. And when you're ready to play with balance, then the foot comes up and you can continue to try to look for side body length on that left side, pressing your left foot behind you and reaching with those left fingertips. From here, a lot of us like to find the front of the hip opening, right? The hip flexors, finding some opening so you can come into a little bit of a back bend here, grabbing the foot, pressing the floor away. Anytime we press down into the floor, it's like we've turned on the lights in the pose. So as you press down, spread across your chest. Good, make sure you take one more inhale where you are. Good, and then slowly let it go. Right, come back down to all 4s where we started and step your right foot to your right thumb, right? Take your right hand and hold the inside of your right ankle, right? From here, you're gonna take this left shin and angle it behind you a little bit. So I'm holding my right shin. Some of you might put one of those big blocks right inside that right ankle. It's gonna be a little easier the higher your hand is. This is another hip opening. It's a modified side angle pose. Hold that inner ankle. Roll your hips under you just a little bit and make this right arm work like a retaining wall. So press the right arm into that right inner knee and leg. And when you're ready, you take your left arm up. This might be too much for some shoulders. It's absolutely fine to hold the hip with your left hand. So think about hips under and just the right amount rolling your chest up in the direction of the ceiling. Try to let the shoulders melt away from your ears. Don't force them away from your ears, but but let there be a softening of the shoulders, right? Take 2 breaths in and out. So every time you come into a shape, once you're there, focus just on breathing, because it takes effort to come into the shape, right? And once you've got it, the attention settles around the breath, all right? And then all the good stuff happens, all right? And then you let it go, look down, and come back to all fours. I'll have you move through a couple of rounds of cat and cow just to rinse that out, all right? And then you're gonna open up into knee down side plank facing in the other direction. So now it's the right arm that goes up. And you decide, what are you gonna do with this left shin? Are you gonna challenge yourself to keep it parallel to the long edge of your mat? Or do you feel like today you need a little bit more balance? So you take that foot behind you a little bit, right? And again, the left hand can come forward a bit to take some of the pressure out of the wrists. And if you want, like me, to perch up on the fingertips, it just makes you a little less steady. And when you're a little less steady, when you're wobbling a little bit in these poses, you have to recruit different muscles to keep you stable, all right? Top arm comes up, flip your palm to face the wall in front of you at your head, and then reach that arm over your ear. So the pinky side of your hand is spinning down, and you're not opening your armpit up towards the ceiling. Rather, you're trying to close that armpit down a little bit. Root into the foot behind you, reach through the fingertips, try to find some level of side body opening. And then from here, you decide you're gonna bring it into a balance, bringing that foot up, but continuing to play sort of tug of war with that arm and leg, right? Lengthening that right side body out. And then those of you that want can grab the foot, right? The outside of the ankle, and then it's that back bend again, pressing the floor away from you, right? To brighten up the pose. You decide, it's always the yogi's choice where the gaze is. For some people, looking down makes the most sense. For some people, looking at the side wall looks the most sense. And for others, looking up feels good, but you gotta always ask yourself what's okay for your neck, right? Slowly, intentionally, set it back down, come to all fours, and take a few rounds of cat and cow again. Just rinse that out, all right? So from here, you're gonna take your right leg behind you, toes point down, right? You're gonna take this right foot to the outside of the left side of your mat, right? So it crosses that left calf muscle. And then you're gonna look in the direction of that right foot, pushing into both hands evenly. And you're looking towards those right toes to find a stretch along the right side body, right? That C curve, but don't let that right side collapse. Root into your hands, both arms are straight. Good. And then reach that arm back, that leg rather back up. If you can reach your arm up, good. Exciting. All right, from here, take that right knee down and then immediately lift it out to the side, right? So this version of hydrant dog. Right knee goes out and it comes back down. Now look at my left elbow here. If I often lift that right knee, there's a collapse of the left elbow. Both arms stay straight. Leg goes out to the side. All right, do it 3 more times. You only lift the knee as high as you can and still keep both arms straight. You are working strength in the shoulders. All right, and then from here, the leg comes out, it straightens. You try to hold it, spread your toes. It's a ton of work for the glutes. And then you set that right foot down so that it lines up with that left knee and you come up in the gate pose. All right, so head stacked over hips. We'll just take another side body lengthening. All right, so reach that left arm up and over. Try to stretch out all of this area, right? You're rooting into the foot, that right foot out to the side, the toes point forward. So the hips are neutral here. There is an opening of the inner leg. Good. Come back up. Take your hands like you were putting your hands in your back pockets. Pin your elbows in and lift your chest. A little bit of a back bend. And again, it's your decision how you're going to treat your neck here. Maybe you lift your chest but keep your chin tucked in, or maybe some of you let your head drop back a little bit. You come back up. And take that leg out. Reach it behind you. Bring your knee to your nose and your chin towards that knee. Do that 2 more times. Reach the leg back, both arms are straight, Exhale, knee to nose. Inhale, exhale, inhale, hold, set those toes down, lift that left knee just an inch away from the floor, right? Push into both hands. Your shoulders should be stacked over your wrists, right? Your hips are not high. Your hips, you're all ready for plank now, and you take that left foot back. You're in a high push-up position. You can drop your knees if you have anything going on in your shoulders or your wrists, and then we'll lower all the way down onto our belly. All right, put your forehead on the floor. Take your arms by your sides. We're going to come into Shalambhasana, a version of locust pose. All right, spin your palms to face the floor. Squeeze your shoulder blades together on your back and lift up. Lift your feet too and try to spin your inner thighs up towards the ceiling. Continue to squeeze the shoulder blades towards each other to try to find some level of spread across the collarbone. Right? Don't lead with your chin, lead with your chest. Try to keep your neck as neutral as you can. Take one more breath in, and then come on down. All right, stay where you are and just windshield wipe your shins side to side. Good. Press yourself up to all fours. And reach your left leg behind you. All right. Take that left foot outside your right calf. Look in the direction of that left foot and find some side body stretch on your left side body. All right. And then from here, come back. Take that left knee down. Don't let it touch the floor. And then just lift it out, fire hydrant. Come back. Out to the side. And back, and out to the side. Notice if the right elbow wants to bend. Try to keep both arms straight. The next time that knee comes out to the side, shoot the legs straight. Try to hold. Try to keep that right elbow straight. Spread your left toes. Put the left foot on the floor. Parigasana gate pose. Left foot lines up with right kneecap. Right, let that left hand just drape down that left leg. Find a side body stretch. Good. Reach, not just to the side, but go up and over. Excellent, you guys. Come back to the center, hands in your back pockets, elbows in, lift your chest. Maybe the head drops back. Maybe you keep your chin tucked into your chest, but keep squeezing those elbows towards the midline, towards each other. And then come on back down. Take that leg behind you, knee to nose. Breathe in, make this your inhale with the legs straight behind you. As you exhale, knee to nose, push the floor away. Breathe in, knee to nose, breathe out. Breathe in, set your left foot down behind you, tuck those toes under so you're setting yourself up for plank, which means some of you might need to walk your hands back underneath your shoulders, right? And then you push the floor away from you and lift the right knee an inch off the floor, hanging plank pose. Lots for the shoulders. Keep lifting into the backs of the shoulders. Gaze at the front edge of your mat. Plank. Drop your knees if you need to. For any reason, you can always drop your knees. Lower all the way down to your belly. Take your arms out by your sides. Flip your palms to face the floor. Shalambhasana. So belly down, back bend. It does not matter how high you come here. Think about getting long in your spine. Push your feet back. Spreading your toes and really pushing through the big toe mound of each foot and pulling your chest forward, right? Take a few rounds of breath here. And when you're here, think about building heat and strength in the back body. That's what back bends are all about, right? Get long in that spine. And then come on down, all right? Bend your knees. Keep your head on the floor. Don't do as I'm doing. Just listen to me. All right, bend your knees and just windshield wipe your shins a little bit side to side. All right, good. All right, press yourself up to all fours. All right, and then from here, I'm gonna face this way. This will be easier, all right? Step your right foot to your right thumb. All right, and then come up into a knee down lunge. All right, and from here, think about tucking those back toes under and lifting that back knee just an inch or two away from the floor. Try to keep your right knee stacked directly over your right heel. Don't let it come forward. It can be very straining on the kneecap. All right? So stay here for a moment. Head stacked over hips. Try not to pitch forward too much. Right? Can you keep your head over your hips and your tailbone a little bit heavy, and then push that back leg just a little bit straighter, maybe all the way, but if it causes you to lean forward, you've gone too far. And then maybe take your arms up. But you're focusing on some opening through the front of that left hip. Try to make sure, look at your left heel and make sure it's pointing straight up towards the ceiling and not sickling one way or the other. Right? Take your hands down. Take your back heel down and climb your right elbow on top of your right thigh. So we did a modified side angle earlier. Now this is a full side angle. Right heel lines up with the middle of your back arch. Use your right elbow to steer that right kneecap lined up with the third toe. Right, so you're pressing it out a little bit, which will feel a little bit more like a hip opener. Some of you, if you want to challenge yourself, you bring your hand down inside that right ankle. You use that arm as a retaining wall as we did in that earlier version. Top arm comes up. Maybe the arm goes over the ear. Right, you can also, you can stay with that elbow on top of the thigh, shoulders away from your ears. Right, just take a few easy rounds of breath here. Don't rush it, hips roll under you. Right, you continue to use your right arm in some fashion to keep that right kneecap lined up with the middle toe. Right? Excellent. Sounds like I'm congratulating myself, doesn't it? It's very strange not to be with all of you in person. All right, and then from here, take your hands down and come around so that both your toes are pointing towards the wall that you're facing. Right, the outside edges of your feet are parallel, and you're just gonna go side to side. Right, and you get a chance to stretch out that inner leg. You don't have to go very deep. Again, what's the beauty of being inflexible? You don't have to do a lot to feel a lot. All right, side to side. And then eventually you turn to the other direction. Right, and just like we did before, we're gonna start with the knee down and come up. So here's something. Often when we come into this position, you can feel like you're standing on a tightrope, and you really just want to make sure that you bring that left foot out to the side enough so that when you take your hands onto your hips and you lift your right knee a little bit, right, that you don't feel like, I'm like a circus tightrope walker, right? You want to feel like you're steadying your base. Back knee is bent, shoulders over hips. So it goes head over shoulders, shoulders over hips, right? And you're stacked vertically that way. And you want to make sure that that left knee is right over your heel and that it's not coming too far forward. And then you decide your arms are going to come up. And then how much can you push that back leg straight and still keep integrity in the spine? Right? Tailbone a little bit heavy, lifting through the crown of the head. Maybe you feel a really big stretch through the front of that right hip. That would be excellent. And then you take your hands down. And then you take that back heel down. And then you might take that left elbow to your left thigh. Back heel is down, side angle pose. Right? Some of you are going to take that hand down, and you can always use the block underneath your left hand. And then from here, your variation. Maybe the arm over the ear. So the heart, your chest, your heart is rolling in the direction of the ceiling. You can also think about rolling that right side of your rib cage back and the left side of your rib cage forward. And now your legs don't move, right? Because your left arm is working in some way, whether it's elbow on thigh, making sure that that knee stays in line with the middle toe, or whether it's here working as that retaining wall. Right? And just breathe. You can close your eyes if you like. Continue to roll your chest up towards the ceiling and your left hip under you. Get as long as you can from that right heel all the way through the right fingertips. One more breath in and out. And then when you're ready, come back down. Right? We'll do goddess pose, right? A standing pose. So from here, you're going to come up with the toes pointing out a little bit. I don't know if you can see my toes, but they're turned out a little bit. I think the problem in this pose is that people sometimes turn their toes out too much and their knees can't keep up with their toes. So I'd rather the toes be in and just always making sure that your kneecaps line up with that second and third toe. You do not want your kneecaps falling in this way, right? They're always trying to be moving out. All right, good. And then sit to your lowest point. You can take your arms into cactus. Drive down through those heels. Sit to your lowest point. And I'm doing this with you, which I don't always do in class. You can see I'm a little out of breath. For 10, keep those kneecaps drawing out. So it's an inner leg opening. A ton of strength through your glutes and your legs. I'm still counting because I'm doing. For 6, 5, can you sit a little lower? 4, draw your elbows back a little bit. Don't overarch into a back bend. 2, and then on 1, forward fold. Let your head hang, shake it out. Make your feet parallel, and if it would feel good to you, take your feet a little bit further apart. And then just let the backs of the legs open up a tiny bit. So continue to let your head drop down towards the floor. Root into your feet, lift up through the backs of your hips. Right, and open up through the backs of the legs. Right, so what would a Ramsey Athletes and Inflexibles class be without a little balance? So let's do a couple of balancing poses, right? Because, you know, balancing is so good for your legs and your hips. It's also good for your head, right? You got to focus on it. So, really simply, stand tall. So Tadasana feet outside edges of your feet parallel to each other. All right, and go ahead and hug your right knee in towards your chest. And let yourself wobble a little bit. That's fine. You might fall, and then you need to come back into it. Focus on your standing leg. Press the top of the left thigh back. And firm the left outer hip in. And now lift through the crown of your head. Up, 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 up. And add a little bit more up by reaching the arms. Push into that standing foot. Reach through your fingertips. And then pull your hands into prayer at the center of your chest. All right, now bend your standing knee a little bit. Right, and then take this into dancing Shiva. So your standing leg is bent a little bit. You're lifting that right foot up behind you, but do not let that knee open up to the side. You're just trying to push that knee behind you. Bend into that standing knee, root into the heel of your standing foot. Don't let your chest collapse. Keep your chest open. All right, for 5, good, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Stand up. All right, so good for your glutes, good for your hips and legs. And, you know, I think that's a huge part of American life. We need stronger hips and glutes, okay? Hug your left knee in, same thing. Give yourself a chance to get stable where you are, right? You'll feel yourself kind of tip over. You're asking a lot of your body to carry the whole weight of you in one leg. Firm that right outer hip in. Lift up through the whole of your body. What you do with this standing leg is going to affect the spine. So as soon as you bend that standing knee, the spine collapses a little bit. So push off that standing foot and let the spine grow stronger, right? Or longer rather. And maybe stronger. Reach through your arms. Get a ton of vertical height. So your spine can belong to the arms right now. Reach the arms to grow the spine. Pull your hands into prayer. Now do just what I said not to do. Bend the standing knee a little bit. And start to move into dancing Shiva. All right, standing knee is bent. That left foot is reaching behind you. You drop into this as much as you dare. Try not to let your standing right knee come too far forward. So no further than the toes. Right, and really rooting into that heel so that you really ignite the glutes. That's what I feel anyway, but you might feel something totally different. Right, another 3. Can you go a little lower and a little bit more into that right heel? 2. And then come up and stand up. All right, let's lie down. All right, time flies when you're having fun. All right, we are gonna lie down and we're gonna do bridge pose. All right, so I feel like we can't really do enough back bending these days in a sedentary world. Head down,
Make sure you can touch your heels. So you put your feet down. They should be like two parallel, the outside edges of your feet are like two parallel lines. All right, and then from here, push off your feet, lift your hips, and then draw your outer upper arms under you. You can hold, you can interlace your hands, you can do robot arms, I quite like that, and you can push off your elbows to get more lift in the chest. Root into your feet to lift the fronts of your hips. So the idea here is you don't want to flatten the curve of your neck into the mat in bridge pose. So you want to make sure that you're rooting into the back of your head and that most of your weight is in the outside edges of your shoulders, right? And you're really using that to lift your chest. Don't drop your chin to your chest in bridge pose. Lift that chest towards your chin. Good. And then come on down. Right, keep your knees bent. Take your right knee over your left, like you're gonna do if you do yoga, eagle pose. Right, and then from there, push off your left foot, swing your hips to the right, let your knees drop to the left. I like often to put a block under my knees. Right, and then arms in cactus, or you can just let your arms go out like a very loose T. Right, and then the other thing that's nice here, the nice modification, is you could reach your right arm over your ear, so letting your right bicep line up with your ear and reaching those fingertips towards the wall or the windows behind you, seeing what you can access as far as a side body stretch. All right, close your eyes, take 3 rounds of breath. And come back to the center. Right, recenter your hips. And you take your left knee over your right. Shift your hips several inches to the left, and then let your knees fall to the right. Prop your knees up with a block or your books, whatever you've got. Take your arms out either into cactus or into a wide T. And relax into the pose. Close your eyes. Focus on the way that your breath comes in and the way your breath goes out. And after any kind of activity, our breath is certainly affected. Right? Just look at the way your breath is affected by what you've done. When we take deep, full breaths, you sometimes will feel a stretch as you breathe in, as your body accommodates that big inhale, that big breath in. And feel your belly muscles contract when you exhale, because there's a natural contraction of your belly when you breathe out. And then come back to the center. So here's your option to end before Shavasana. You can do hammock pose like we often do, right? Where in hammock pose, if you have a strap, you make a circle with your strap, so there's just this tiny, tiny little tail here. And then you take the strap around the ball of your right foot, and you take the strap just above your ears, like if you were going to put on ski goggles where the goggle strap would go. You make sure your right hip is not hiking towards your shoulder, and then you relax. You let the back of your head drop down towards the floor. And then you relax your arms by your sides. The left leg can go straight. Try to press your right leg as straight as it will get. And you settle into hammock. If you don't have a strap that loops the way this one does, you can use a jump rope or your old necktie or a towel to stretch your hamstrings in the same way. Right? And the effort here, if you're not doing hammock, if you're holding the strap, is to really push your foot up into the strap and to pull the baby toe side of your foot down. And just watch the way, the shape of your body in this particular shape, watch the way that it affects your hamstring muscles, the ones that run up the back of your leg, the back of your thigh. And if you push up with your heel a little bit, you'll feel your calf muscles get a little bit of a stretch. So you can stay in this pose for as long as you like, feel free to pause me. I bet you wish you could do that in live classes. Right? So you stay for as long as you like, and then you switch to the left side, which means that you either take your head back into the hammock, and you must make sure that this feels okay for your neck. I have a lot of neck stuff, historically, and I love this pose because I think it helps me release the trapezius muscles, the muscles along those big ropey muscles at the base of the neck. As my arms come by my sides, and maybe the right leg will straighten, or maybe I'll keep my right knee bent. I gotta decide once I'm in the pose. And you make sure that left hip doesn't hike up towards your left shoulder, so you can give it a little encouragement down towards your right heel. And then you breathe deeply. Because ultimately, it just always comes back to the quality of your breath in the pose, no matter what the pose is, if it's challenging or if it's relaxing, it's the quality of your breath. So to me, no matter what pose you're in, if you can find even just a moment to ask yourself the way in which your breath is affected, it's a very worthwhile practice. All right, and again, you can pause me here. You can take as many breaths on the left side in hammock pose, or the version that you're going to do holding a jump rope or a strap. And then I want you to pause me, say goodbye to me, and then cover your eyes, right, with something. It can be your towel or blanket, a t-shirt or a wrap that you have nearby. Cover your eyes and take 30 rounds of breath with your eyes closed, right? You're bound to lose count at some point. Come back, right? See if you can really bring your attention to your breath through your Shavasana. I hope you enjoyed practice, and I cannot wait to see you in person. All right, have a good day.